Friday, the 3rd of March. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's your Frontier Opening Bell. I am boosting number 5. Well, after the market closed across a few Frontier African regions on Thursday. Let's start with the GSE, which fell 1.38% on the back of the emerging markets slowdown. A few of those losses were being retraced over in the day, but quite a bit of that knocked off 1.3% of the GSE down to 77,547. The Nairobi stock market went up by 0.26%. The Egyptian market finished the final day of the week, which is Thursday, in the negative 1.61%. That's NGX 16,846. The BRVM in Cote d'Ivoire was down by 0.1% at 205.88, despite about 7.5% gain by the Bank of Africa of the Benin Republic. That decline was offset by a few other gains, with names such as the Bank of Africa of Mali. In Nigeria, the stock market came back 0.39%, trading down in early trade about 0.41%, finished off on the upside because investors pulled positive reading sentiments into big names such as Boa Foods and a few other names on the counter, including Dangote Cement, whose earnings was hitting the front. 20 naira per share dividend is what the largest cement company on the African continent is paying to shareholders. So the index retraced slightly below the 55,000 reading. But let's just get on to see the rest of the headline stories making rounds in the East African region. And Kenya's got a bit of that because rising food prices and cost of gas, of course, which President Ruto is now cutting down a little bit to ease things for Kenyans. They pushed inflation for the month of February to about 9.2% after a bit of a sluggish reading in the month of January. In the meantime, Kenya will be importing oil from the United Arab Emirates on credit to ease dollar scarcity. Right now, the news early Friday was that the Central Bank of Kenya is rationing US dollars because there's so much scarcity of that money in the Kenyan economy right now, as we speak. And Tanzania has joined the Africa 50, which is this Pan-African infrastructure investment platform created by the AFDB just a few years ago to support African states across the private sector in terms of providing infrastructure investment window. Now, Tanzania has become the 34th shareholder, sovereignty shareholder of Africa 50 based in Egypt. And that British Petroleum Services is evaluating the phase 2 of that major LNG project offshore Senegal, as well as that of Mauritania by the year 2024, where Uganda is looking at a local debt of about 18.2% of the GDP in the new fiscal year, which would be around April. Then you've got interest repayment of loans to about 3% in the 2022 period. All that part of what the Ugandan authority is dealing with right now as we speak. The country is also dealing with the issue around coffee industry, which is one of the country's major FX earnings on the books, as it were. Let's step over into West Africa and follow a couple of headline news. Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest banks in the United States and around the world, says his outlook is oil prices will climb to about $100 per barrel later in the year because of a thin spare capacity that exists. Oil is currently trading a few notches above $80 a barrel for the London Brent crude benchmark. And Kenya is, and of course, Nigeria is NGX Exchange Group, PLC, reported yesterday a revenue for the full year 2022, a revenue upside of about 7%. EBITDA grew much stronger, about 70.6%, but the company posted a net loss of 689 billion naira in local currency, and that was it. Other income were also positive, however. The bottom line was a negative finishing line for the Nigerian Exchange Group, which is the parent company of the Nigerian Exchange Limited. A few other headlines, of course, the West Africa's central bank, which is the BCEAO, which is the French-speaking West African countries, raised monetary policy rate to 3% at its first meeting in 2023, while Ghana President Nana Akufo-Addo is positive that the IMF deal with the IMF for that $3.3 billion funding facility could come through before the end of this month, March 2023, because of the progress being made between Ghana and the China Exim Bank delegation on the country's debts. Those are some of the headlines. And of course, congratulations to the new group CEO of EcoBank Group, headquartered in Lomé, Togo. So we should check in with Southern Africa. Eskom, of course, at the top of the story. Eskom says load shedding will continue. And of course, but that could get a little bit better because level 3 is what is expected tomorrow, Saturday, the 4th of March. The problem with Eskom is yet to be over. Everyone's feeling the impact of that in South Africa. But one company that's feeling the impact of that KwaZulu-Natal massive flooding of last year is Santam Insurance, which says it's gotten more than 7,000 claims from individuals and companies, and that is costing the company about roughly 30 billion rand in terms of claims for the full year 2020. And that's part of the news this morning. Quite a bit of other headline news across the corporate world in Zambia as well as Zimbabwe. The multi-choice story with Comcast is also one of the stories that's making the headlines, including earnings from other companies listed on the JSE. So let's look into North Africa, where Cameroonian Afriland First Bank has floated a mobile money operations in South Sudan. That's relationship in banking that we're seeing across the region, and we're seeing Cameroon down here in next to Nigeria, making that major inroad in the Sahel region with South Sudan. The whole idea of Eurobond for Morocco. Morocco raised $2.5 billion in the week successfully on the global financial markets. And that's good news for King Mohammed VI Kingdom in North Africa. It's been 3 years since Morocco went last to the global financial marketplace, and now it's made a success of this particular $2.5 billion Eurobond. And that is your Frontier opening bell this Friday. Thank God it's a Friday. Lay back and enjoy the weekend, everyone. I'll see you back on Monday, and bye for now.